out with yesterday, and is going to keep him out any longer?
He had a shoulder. He'll be out for, it's nothing long-term, but he's going to be out probably for a week or so.
What about Quay?
Just being smart with him. What did he tell you? Okay.
He said he's fine. But players usually say fine, so we don't really put a lot of
Just being smart with him.
What do you think of the camp Jordan Morgan's had to this point? Obviously disappointed to miss maybe a week, but what kind of camps he put together?
I think there's, like most of these guys, some good, some bad, a lot to learn from. So, but we're excited about the talent. You can see the talent there. I think it's just making sure he gets the adequate number of reps so it's second nature and there's a lot less thinking going on. But I feel like he's competed well, and just needs to continue to learn and improve.
Sounds like this isn't something that has you concerned for week one or anything, right?
Doesn't appear to be that way.
What do you think of day one up Zach at right tackle? I know it was limited reps there, but.
Yeah, I thought he looked better than I would have expected, missing that much time. And he came in there, competed, was moving people off line of scrimmage. Definitely, you could feel it in both the run game and in the pass game, quite frankly. You know, our lines had some struggles blocking some of our edge rushers, and I thought he went in there and competed and gave Jordan extra time. I loved how he was straining down the field. I thought he did a really nice job.
Now, what does a healthy Tucker Kraft add to this offense?
Well, I think he's a complete tight end, and I think he's only scratching the surface of what he's capable of doing. I think when you look back last year, I mean, it's night and day from where he is now, from where he was at this time. Just the familiarity with the offense, the confidence, I would say, from going out there and playing at a high level. So we're excited to get him back in the fold. Obviously looking forward to when he can start taking some more of those team reps.
Do you feel like at any point last season you ever had the best version of Tucker and Luke together in your own?
No, I don't. It seemed like they were all kind of like going out at different times. Obviously Luke missing quite a bit towards the end of the season. So yeah, to have both of those guys at full strength, I think can definitely change the complexion of our offense.
Envision that looks like when they are both at the apex of
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it'll be game by game in terms of how we deploy them, and you know, you can't forget that we got some pretty good receivers that we're excited about as well. So it's a good problem to have, and one that will, you know, it's all about how you go and attack people on a week-to-week basis. Sometimes maybe 12 personnel or bigger personnel groupings, a little bit more of the plan, whereas some games maybe it's 11 personnel.
I know we missed some time with the groin, but just in general, what's caught your attention about Jacobs this offseason and training camp, just in terms of how he's responded, switching teams?
Yeah, I mean, he's an established veteran that's performed at a high level, and I just get so excited that he can do it all. He can be a weapon in the passing game, not only as a pass blocker, pass protector, but also out of the backfield, catching the ball. He's got great hands, and he hit some speeds yesterday that was exciting to see. He's just a tough, rugged runner, and I don't think we'll truly get to appreciate his value until we get into live tackling situations, because I think that's really what he's known for. It's just he's a punishing runner.
Coach, it's kind of anecdotal just watching it from the sideline, but it feels like you have more individual work time in your kind of practices throughout the camp so far. A, is that true? And B, is that a result of having a new staff on the defensive side and wanting to get their hands on these?
You say it feels like we have more indie time?
Yeah.
No, I would say it's pretty much on par for what we've done in the past. I do think that where we've changed a little bit is kind of our pre-practice routine. So we kind of we exclude it from the time allotted. We do a little bit longer inside in terms of our just getting these guys warmed up to go out to practice. So it's kind of lengthened our practice a little bit, so maybe that's why it feels that way.
You mentioned getting a better look at Jacobs when you're actually going against tackling. What do you evaluate this time of year with running backs when they're not being tackled? Like, how do you evaluate what can carry over and translate to the actual game?
I mean, you're evaluating everything. It's, in our run game, it's how are they pressing the heels of the O-line? How are they reading it one gap at a time? And pass protection, that's pretty self-explanatory. Are they on their right guys? Are they using the right technique? Are they able to block a blitzing linebacker or DB or whoever it may be? And then just when they're getting out on routes, are they running the right routes in the rhythm and the timing of the play, and how are they finishing? So I think we're evaluating every guy on every play. Just because they're going to the ground or not going to the ground doesn't mean you can't evaluate those guys.
You mentioned the new pre-practice routine. I know you have some new staff members. You've done a lot to try to figure out the hamstring issues. I think you have 4 guys now that have hamstring issues. Is this just the cost of doing business, or is that something you're concerned about still?
And no, I'm not overly concerned about it. I think for the most part our guys have held up pretty well. I think when you look at it, our volume's up from where we've ever been. So I think there's going to be some of that. I think you look around the league, there's going to be issues everywhere. And we just hope that we mitigate it as much as possible. Not quite yet, no. Yeah, I thought he responded well. I think just going back, challenging him a little bit after the family night. I thought he started strong, and then as he got more snaps, he started to fade a little bit, got tired. But the reality is for him, and like many guys, especially young guys, I mean, we're getting ready to play a preseason game here in a couple days. You're going to get a ton of snaps, not only on defense, but on teams as well. So you better be able to, this is a little bit of a gut check to make sure that you can stay present and make sure that you're still playing with good fundamentals, technique, the right assignments. And I thought yesterday, was probably one of his best days. I thought he responded really well.
And would you have liked to see your kickers handle the wind a little bit better yesterday?
It was like kicking in a tornado. It was really windy, obviously. I think they got to learn that you got to just drive the ball, and whatever happens, happens. But very rarely will it ever be that windy in any stadium I think that we'll play in. It just is what it is, and chalk it up for a win for the wind yesterday.
You mentioned the struggles your offensive line has had at times in this camp. How much of that is, I don't know if you guys have had a single rep with your preferred 5 up there. I mean, what's that been like putting this thing together without having full complement? And does that simulate what a season is like in some ways?
Yeah, it very well could be. I mean, we've had a lot of different lineups over the course of the years, and typically when you can have a consistent 5, you're probably going to be a little bit better. But it is what it is, and you got to make the most of every opportunity to go out there and try to compete and get better. And I think we're going against a pretty good defensive line as well. So hopefully that's the case. We won't really know until we get to the season and start playing against other guys. But I feel like our D-line is bringing it pretty good on each play.
More, please.
You had-
Evaluation process, is there a balance between the body of work over 15 practices versus 3 preseason games, or is it just the totality?
I think it's the totality. I think you can't put too much stock in one or the other. You got to look at the whole. Now, granted, those games get heavily magnified because of just the situation. I mean, that's when you're playing real football. So obviously there's a lot of value to that, and making sure that we get the right guys in there to see what we need to see in order to make the best decisions possible for the football team.
You had been rotating the safeties opposite Xavier for most of camp. It's been Javon the last 3 days. Is there anything to read into that?
No, I think it's going to be a competitive situation throughout. And, I would expect more rotation as we move forward.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.